Well, welcome to the 700 Club. News out of Israel, 100 rockets in just a few hours. Hezbollah launched 4 waves of attacks on northern Israel last night and this morning. Thanks to the Iron Dome defense system, no injuries are reported so far.
This is the latest offensive in an almost daily barrage of Hezbollah rockets since October 7th. The attacks are taking a huge toll on the people, the environment, and the economy. Chris Mitchell reports from northern Israel.
Since the almost daily barrage began, life here is a dangerous and potentially deadly place. Noah and Ner Baranes died in a rocket attack July 9th, leaving behind 3 children. They're among dozens of civilians and soldiers killed by Hezbollah. Now, most communities along the Lebanese border stand nearly empty. Another casualty is the land itself, due to wildfires created by the combination of rocket fire and dry summer conditions throughout northern Israel, the Galilee, and the Golan Heights. The fires started by Hezbollah rockets have destroyed tens of thousands of acres and thousands of trees, some planted as far back as 60 years ago. These are the worst forest fires in the history of Israel. Itamar Katz leads forestry efforts on the Golan Heights.
I'm kind of young and I'm new in this system. I've only been in the Forest Service for 7 years. But all of the older generation, I mean, I see them, their whole life's work is going up in flames, and it's on purpose. I mean, somebody's doing this on purpose to us. It's not just happening.
This intentional destruction, reaching nearly 40,000 acres thus far, is just another part of Hezbollah's goal to drain Israel's resources, wear down its people, and eventually eliminate the Jewish state.
I mean, for us, it's huge. I mean, these fires here are equivalent to the fires in Northern California for us. That's how we experience it. Although it might be like a 1,000 or 2,000 hectare fire, which, I mean, it's big in any scale, but in Israel, it's huge.
And it's also destroying regional wildlife.
When fires starts in the spring, in the late spring, in the midst of the nesting season, then there's a real damage to birds. We're talking about chicks and nests that cannot fly. The parents are leaving, but the chicks are burning to their death, and the birds are losing a whole generation.
I feel like a refugee in my own country, and it's not a good position to be at.
Miriam Armon is among the tens of thousands of Israelis now living away from home. Before October 7th, her family had lived in the border community of Metula for 5 generations.
The Hezbollah started the missiles, launching missiles toward Metula. Many houses got hit, mine included. But because of the Hezbollah, the terror organization, now attacking Israel, it's impossible to live up north. The thing that is important that not many people knows about it, not many people understand the situation, that we just want to live in peace.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Northern Israel.
And they should be able to live in peace. The UN has established a no-fire zone, a weapon-free zone, but they're not enforcing it. Hezbollah has full run over southern Lebanon, and it's just amazing to me that the world community is turning a blind eye to this. It's an obvious provocation. It's an obvious act of war. Just imagine in the United States if either Canada or Mexico said, well, we're going to fire 100 rockets a day across the border and hope they don't retaliate and don't invade us. Well, you and I as Americans would say in your dreams, we're absolutely going to stop that. It's intolerable. You can't have a free country unless you're protecting your own borders and your own citizens from attack. So when Israel does launch a counteroffensive, and as much as I hate to say it, I think they have to, when they do that, I hope the international community sides with them and says this has to stop. There is an ideology being promulgated from Iran, and whether that's in the form of Hezbollah or in the form of Hamas or in the form of the Houthis, of all of these different groups, either trying to shut down international shipping or wipe Israel off the map. It's all based on an ideology that's coming out of Iran. Let's recognize that. Let's stand up to it and say, we want peace in the Middle East. We can't have it if you continue this kind of activity. If you do, expect retaliation and expect it in force. In other news, a major step forward in an investigation of a pro-Palestinian group right here in America. It's suspect to have ties to Hamas. Well, John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Thanks, Gordon. A judge ordered American Muslims for Palestine to turn over financial documents sought by Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares. Miyares is investigating the group for, quote, potentially violating Virginia's charitable solicitation laws, including benefiting or providing support to terrorist organizations. The group came under elevated scrutiny for its ties to pro-Palestinian protests that spread across the United States campuses, college campuses, that is, this past spring. According to the online edition of Jewish Insider, AMP allegedly gave financial support to a group that's used pro-Hamas rhetoric, and some of its leaders reportedly have past associations with a group no longer in existence that was found liable of aiding Hamas. AMP says it has never supported terrorism and does not send funds out of the country. Well, now to the latest in the investigation of the assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump. The Secret Service says it gave more resources to the Trump campaign after receiving intelligence of an Iranian plot to kill the former president. There's no indication the 20-year-old shooter was connected to that plot. This comes amid ongoing questions of why the gunman was able to gain access to the roof of a building with clear line of sight to the president. The Secret Service director said no one was placed on top of the building because the roof was sloped, posing a risk to agents. Investigators are still looking into the gunman's background for clues on why he carried out the attack. Well, the Republican National Convention reconvenes today after Tuesday's night focus on securing America's borders and a show of party unity. Donald Trump's former rivals took the stage, urging Republicans to come together to beat Joe Biden. Washington correspondent Caitlin Burke has the details.
Let's make the 45th President of the United States the 47th President of the United States.
Speaking to a Tuesday night RNC crowd, which included Donald Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis praised his former rival.
Our border was safer under the Trump administration, and our country was respected when Donald Trump was our commander-in-chief.
Trump's strongest challenger and tough critic during the campaign, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, also giving her support.
You don't have to agree with Trump 100% of the time to vote for him.
After endorsing Trump, Haley talked up his foreign policy record.
When Barack Obama was president, Vladimir Putin invaded Crimea. With Joe Biden as president, Putin invaded all of Ukraine. But when Donald Trump was president, Putin did nothing. No invasions, no wars. That was no accident.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz, a rival from the 2016 campaign, praised God for protecting Trump and then turned to the situation on the southern border.
11.5 million people have crossed our border illegally under Joe Biden. Look around you. This arena holds about 18,000 souls. Now imagine 639 arenas just like this, filled to the brim. That is 11.5 million people, larger than all but 8 states in the nation.
Meanwhile, in an emotional speech, Laura Trump, the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, and Donald Trump's daughter-in-law gave a description of Saturday's assassination attempt.
Our family has faced our fair share of death threats, mysterious powders sent to our homes, tasteless and violent comments directed towards us on social media, but none of that prepares you as a daughter-in-law to watch in real time someone try to kill a person you love.
Tonight, Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance takes center stage. The theme, Make America Strong Again. He's also expected to touch on border security as well as the threat coming from China.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you, Caitlin. Looking now to southeast Texas and the slow recovery from Hurricane Beryl. Lingering power outages, food shortages, and intense heat are compounding the situation there. As Brody Carter reports, CBN's Operation Blessing is bringing relief to residents and disaster response teams alike.
Bad weather continues to come in waves, adding to the hurdles already facing relief volunteers with Operation Blessing workers. OB is set up in the town of Brazoria, rushing to meet multiple needs created in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl.
From the first day we were here, we had people driving up into the parking lot and asking if there was food available.
The storm left more than 2 million customers in the dark, and more than a week later, tens of thousands are still without power.
We lost all of our food due to the power outage, and payday's not till next week, so just a little bit helps, you know.
Operation Blessing says no electricity combined with oppressive heat and depleted food banks have created a dire situation.
Part of our concern has been people sitting in a hot home with no power, no water, and we've been under a heat advisory now every day. It's been well up into the 90s with humidity about 100%.
First Baptist Church of Brazoria fortunately has power and air conditioning, so Pastor Gregory Smith has opened the doors to provide respite from the heat. The church is partnering with Operation Blessing to tackle the hard work ahead.
Operation Blessing can be a real blessing.
OB volunteers are distributing food from the town's elementary school, making pasta in the kitchen.
It was just rice and meat, but I tell you what, he's got away with his seasonings because it was delicious.
Efforts are also focused on getting tarp for tattered roofs, removing downed trees, and clearing debris.
What we want to do is to be the hands and feet of Jesus in this community. We want to share Jesus with people.
Due to the length of time in restoring power, Texas Governor Abbott is calling for an investigation into the state's main power company, CenterPoint. However, the company maintains their response was limited due to the unpredictable nature of the storm.
This small area down here really got hit hard. And the more volunteers we can get, the bigger the teams we'll be able to send out, and we can make a truly large difference.
And just having, a partner, someone to come and say, hey, we're just here to serve and minister. I can't tell you what a blessing that is. Operation Blessing is a good name, because that's what it is.
As long as the needs of Southeast Texas persist, Operation Blessing plans to remain here, helping in the recovery efforts. Brody Carter, CBN News.
A lot of grateful faces and smiles in their time of need. Gordon?
Well, if you want to be a part of the relief effort, it's real simple. Call us, 1-800-700-7000. Say, I want to give to the Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can also write to us at CBN Center. 23463 is the area code, and it's just real simple. CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Just put Disaster Relief Fund on the memo line of a check. You can text us at OBDR 71777, or you can go to cbn.com. Either way, do it right now. 1-800-700-7000.